Hey everybody, my name is Andrew Michael. I am a real estate agent and lifelong resident of the great state of Florida. And today I am going to talk to you about the top 5 mistakes I see buyers making when they relocate to our area. So if you're looking to move to Northeast Florida and you don't want to make a mistake when picking your next home, be sure to check out this video. And we're going to go at it right now. Hey everybody, welcome back. Again, my name is Andrew Michael, and we help tons of people with relocating to Northeast Florida from all over the country. And some of those people buy their homes, not with us, but they buy their homes and then they're just not happy with it for various reasons. And so in a short time later, they end up putting it back on the market for sale, and then they call me and I end up coming over to help them sell their house. Now, some of the reasons are stuff that they couldn't have anticipated, family, medical, whatever, job stuff that they didn't know was gonna happen. And okay, they can't avoid that stuff. But the 5 things I'm gonna talk about in this video are reasons I keep seeing over and over again, and I wanna help you avoid making those 5 mistakes. So that's why I put this video together. So the number 1 home buyer mistake that I see is not checking to see what is close to the community. Now, this is actually a super easy fix. You can go onto Google Maps and see what's around. I would suggest looking for things like outdoor gun ranges, railroad tracks. Everybody loves trains, but you don't necessarily want one that comes through your backyard or anywhere close by. So I would go online and look for those things and look for some other stuff too. Now in Northeast Florida, most of the building departments here, depending on the city or the county and whatnot, are actually pretty friendly and pretty helpful. So if you have a question about what's going to be built on a particular lot, maybe that backs up to what's going to be, prospectively could be your house, you can call that number, and I very rarely have it where they don't call me back the same day with the information I need. I mean, case in point, I was supposed to work with buyers, I did work with buyers last weekend, and they had sent me a list of homes they wanted to see. Well, one of them I noticed new construction on a preserve. Great. I called the site agent. Is this house on preserve? He said, yes, it is. They'll never build anything behind this house. Great. So then I called down to the county with the parcel numbers. And what I found out was he was technically correct. There's a 20 to 30 foot buffer behind the house that he is correct will never be built on. But on the other side of that buffer, and by the way, at this point, it's all woods. So you can't look at it and tell anything. It just looks like woods behind the house. On the other side of that 20 to 30 foot buffer is woods that is zoned for multifamily housing. So at some point, a developer may come in there and build condos, townhouses, apartments, whatever it is. And so my buyers, had they not known that, they could have bought this house thinking that they're going to enjoy, backing up the trees, they're not going to have any neighbors, where they could see them and stuff like that, only to have an apartment building where everybody's looking right at their house and into their backyard. I mean, can you imagine what a nightmare that would have been? And all it took was a simple phone call to make sure that didn't happen. So needless to say, we didn't go look at that house. But okay, so not checking to see what's around, what's going to be built, or what is currently in the area of the home is the number 1 mistake. The number 2 mistake that I see is not looking at a survey before you go under contract. Now, if you're coming into town and you're looking at, several homes, you don't need to look at a survey for every house. But when you start fine-tuning the area, the neighborhoods, however that process looks for you, you definitely want to see a survey before you sign a contract. Here's the thing about that. Sometimes it may not be clear how far back the property actually goes and what's included. I saw a news story recently about a neighborhood in Southwest Florida, nothing to do with us up here, but the residents were told by the site agent, new construction house, they were told by their site agent that their lots would go all the way down to a retention pond. Great, okay, good, so they get a little bit of privacy. Well, it turns out that that wasn't true. The community basically owns from the retention pond up, like several feet. In fact, enough feet that at some point they're planning on putting a walkway. So instead of having bordering a private retention pond, now they're going to have all the neighbors walking through, not walking through their yard, but walking right up to the yard. And of course, they can all look in their yard at any point. So these guys have like no privacy whatsoever now. And again, down the road, nobody ever thinks, well, most people don't think of resale, but at some point you're probably going to sell whatever it is you buy, and you definitely want to have that resale potential. So you definitely want to look at a survey. Also, you want to look out for easements. There may be, and you can't tell by looking a lot of times, so there may be something that runs through the backyard that means that you can't develop or build on it, which if you don't want to build on it, fine. But what happens if you want a swimming pool? What happens if you want an outdoor shed behind the house? And whoa, what do you know? After the closing, you look at the survey, turns out you can't do it. Or you go under contract, you get to the closing table, you look at the survey then, lo and behold, there is something there and you can't do what you want. Good luck getting out of the contract at that point. So I would definitely suggest you look at the survey before you write an offer. Now with resales, they should definitely have one. It should be in the document section of the multiple listing service and your agent can get that for you. If it's not, your agent can call the listing agent. Now, if the current seller bought the home with financing, they'll have to have had a survey, or if they refied it. Now, the survey may not be current or correct. So in other words, let's say when they bought it, they didn't have a swimming pool, but then over time they build a pool. Well, the pool's not going to be in the survey. So, okay, fine, you need a new one. But at least you can see like how far back the yard goes, what are the easements on the property, and all that kind of stuff. So it still accomplish what we're talking about here. So there you go. So now the number 3 mistake that I see buyers relocating to our area making is not checking flood zones and not checking evacuation zones before going under contract. Now, every house in Northeast Florida is in a flood zone of some sort. In this area, the preferred flood zones, meaning it's less likely for your house to flood, and you will not be required to get flood insurance if you get a mortgage, will usually start with an X. So as in X-ray or XS, like X-ray Sierra. There you go, you can tell I'm a Marine veteran. So now in certain areas, you're going to be in a non-preferred flood zone. And that's okay as long as you know that going into it. So if you're right on the St. Johns River, if you're like right on the beach, if you're on the intercoastal or some of the other communities too, a flood zone is just a fact of life. And it's not that you can't own the house, you can, but you definitely want to check and get a quote for flood insurance and make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. And if it's okay, it's okay. That's your call to make. I just want for you to know what you're getting into and to make that decision and to have the prices so you can see what it's going to cost you. Number 2 is evacuation zones. Now, evacuation zones and flood zones don't necessarily go hand in hand. So if you're living on the beach, or I wouldn't say on the beach, but close to the beach, like close proximity, within walking distance, you may be in flood zone X, meaning a preferred flood zone, but you're definitely going to be in an evacuation zone. And it's okay to be in an evacuation zone as long as you understand that. And just a pro tip from somebody who's lived in Florida my entire life, if you're going to live in like one of the primary evacuation zones, in other words, these are the first people to get evacuated, the first homeowners to get evacuated, you definitely want to have a plan B in place. So if you have family members or friends in a different part of the country, just kind of let them know, hey, we bought a condo on the beach, or we bought a single family home on the beach, and in the event that a hurricane comes, can we come stay with you? And hopefully we all have relationships like that. And so it's just kind of understood, okay, great. So that way you know, okay, if a storm's coming or something's about to happen, if you want, you don't have to, that's your call, I'm not gonna get into that, but you can pack up the family and go. And you can go check out these, you can go get your family to safety. So not checking flood zones and evacuation zones is another huge mistake that I see home buyers make in our market. Now, the number 4 mistake that I see buyers making is not getting a feel for their neighborhood. The best way to do it is to just drive through the community at night and just check and see, what do you see going on? Are these, is this an area that you feel safe in walking the dog at night, should you have one? Is this kind of where you want to live? Because we can all agree that when you buy a home, you're not just buying a home. You're buying into a lifestyle. You're buying into the amenities, the close proximity to work, the friends that you're going to make and that your children are going to make, if you have them or you're going to have them in the community, that sort of thing. So just kind of drive around at night and just check it out and see what you think. Number 1. Number 2, you can join neighborhood Facebook pages. Now, some of them will let you in, some of them won't if you're not already a resident. But that's a great way to find out kind of what the community is all about, what the neighbors are like. Now keep in mind, I'm the admin for one, and so some of the people keep whining about, in my opinion, silly stuff, whatever. So don't necessarily hold that against, because you're gonna get that in every community, but at least see if there's any reoccurring trends and anything that concerns you, for you or your family. Another thing that you can do, and I know this isn't the case in some places in the country, but here people are pretty friendly. And so if you want to park your car, maybe go to the, the amenity center or something like that, and if you see some people hanging out or maybe a birthday party or something like that, just walk up to somebody and say, hey, I'm, Bob from New York or something, and, my family and I are considering moving to this neighborhood. What do you think? People here are very friendly and very honest, and they will probably give you the down low on what's going on. And you can kind of decide, are these the kind of people that you want to live your life around? So that's something that you can definitely do. Now, the number 5 and final mistake that I see home buyers making is not reviewing the bylaws. Sometimes they move into a community and then all of a sudden they start getting violation notices. And so it's very important, again, buying a house is buying into a lifestyle. And I have some people who want HOAs, don't want HOAs, there's pros and cons, whatever. I did videos on that actually, so you can check that out somewhere else on my channel. But if you're looking, and again, you don't want to read the bylaws for every house you're looking at, but if you're narrowing down that search, like if you're pretty much there, you're ready to select a home, I would definitely ask your agent to get the bylaws for you. And so that way you can review them and see, and just make sure that this is congruent to the lifestyle that you want to live. So there you go. So that is the top 5 mistakes I see buyers making. I hope you don't make any of them. If you're interested in reaching out to us to have a smooth transition to Northeast Florida, we would love the chance to help. You can call or text this number right here and you'll speak with me. So there you go. Have a great day. I appreciate your time and I look forward to meeting you in person. Bye-bye.